So Warcry is stepping in a direction where I wasn't expecting. What we've got here is Warcry Crypt of Blood. There is no English leaks at the moment. It's a mixture of, I believe this is Italian and some Spanish. But what I wanted to do is go through everything, piece together what it all means, and go through specifically what it means for the Nightmare Quest box that is going to be the last in the big boxes of the current season of Warcry. So what we've got here, obviously, is very stripped down. There's no battle plan cards or anything like that, but we've got 2 warbands made up of old Underworlds warbands, which is the where are we? Xandai's Truth Seekers, which was from Harrow Deep, and then the Crimson Court, which is part of Diachasm. Now, this is related quite closely for me to the Bladeborn box. Now, the Bladeborn box was basically a Warcry Underworlds hybrid that was born out of, for the models at least, was born out of the models from the Beastgrave core set, and from the from another Underworlds kind of season. It bridged the gap between 2 of them. But what we've got here is there's no English, and I've translated as much as I can from what we've got, but this just isn't legible enough to be able to do so. This is basically an introduction into this box and what's in it and that kind of thing. Now, it's actually important to remember that one of the main focuses of why I'm doing this is because it has got a lot of leaked information for the Nightmare Quest box as well, particularly some terrain and both warbands, but more in depth in one of them than the other. But we'll get there in a second. Okay, so obviously this is the introduction from that book, but it's illegible. I can't decipher what it says and therefore do a translation. We can look at this though, and basically what this is just an introduction to the Crimson Court, a little bit of information on who they are and what they are and that kind of thing. All of this information is already available on the Warhammer community website, a little bit in the expansion box of its release and that kind of thing. So there's nothing here that we don't already know, and that is the same for the guys we've got here, Xandai's Truth Seekers. Now, things get interesting as we start to go through here. So this is all new terrain for that set. None of what we've got here is to do with the rules or anything like that. Look, we can see it's for Crypt of Blood because it's on because it's got the imagery there. But basically, we've got more terrain than this, but it gives an indication of what we've got coming. So, Corpse Rack Mausoleum stuff. This is very similar to that, with the except of this. It's a sarcophagus, not a coffin, and it's. Yeah, nothing like this, as far as I can tell, exists in Age of Sigmar or Warcry terrain so far, but obviously quite close to those coffins from Corpse Rack Mausoleum. There is more than this, and we'll get onto that in a minute. However, what I would say is that this box is very, very stripped down. So, for example, the boards are paper boards. They're not made of proper card. This is almost all of the terrain that you get in the box. There's just one other piece other than this, but it is the best piece, and we'll see that in a minute. And obviously our warbands are stripped down, and you only get 4 per warband. But it's a nice way of kind of introducing Warcry to people that have to kind of a smaller price point. So this, for me, this series, I think, is just a continuation of Bladeborn. So what we've got here is our new warband, which is going to be in the Nightmare Quest box. Now, it hasn't got a great deal of information about them. I have done a translation for some of it, although a lot of it doesn't make sense. But basically what this is telling us is that the 2 warbands that we get in this box, the Crypt of Blood, it tells you that basically they are Bladeborn and that they can be used as allies and that kind of thing for the wider game of Warcry. And it uses this image as an example of a Warcry warband. Now these guys, it's got Hidalgo's Amaligados, right? So that's gobbledygook to me, and that Amalegados, that doesn't translate as far as I can tell. But they've got this word Hidalgo in all of them. So Hidalgo basically means like nobleman or gentleman. So we've got the mayor, we've got a Relictor Knight, soulbound Relictor Knight. We've got a wandering nobleman with a great sword. Same with great axe. Wandering gentleman or nobleman duelist with twin edges. And wandering gentleman with great spear duelist. Now all of this sort of things, I'm sure that when it's actually translated properly for the English edition, that wording will be completely different. But basically, there is some lore here which basically says that they are they come from the storm host of Sigmar, and that they have duties of, you know, tremendous importance to the realms. It also gives a little bit of flavour into the Gnarlwood itself and that kind of thing from the current edition of Warcry, and basically says, you know, you can't send full armies in there, they'd get lost, they'd get wandered, the woods are too deep, and that's why you've got these warbands in there doing what they're doing. So following on from that, we have, this is going to be the book that's in the Nightmare Quest box, and it's going to be called, it will either be Power and Madness or Might and Madness. And again, you can see it features a Flesh Eater corpse and those Stormcasts that we just saw. There's more information in it, so look at this this piece of terrain. Now, it doesn't explicitly say that this will be in the Nightmare Quest box, but it does say that it can be added into your games of Warcry and that kind of thing. It looks very much like the Heart of Gur terrain in terms of the platforms and that kind of thing, and obviously the growth around it. But yeah, it certainly looks different from what we've seen before, but not necessarily going to be in that Nightmare Quest box. It does say that it will be in, let's have a look. It says it's a Ruined Kingdom Forger, or Kingdom Former, sorry. I'm sure that when the translation properly happens, it will be different from that. But that's what they're calling it. But it doesn't explicitly say that it is going to be in a Warcry box or anything like that. I'm hopeful that it will be in the Nightmare Quest box, but it's not a given. It's certainly very different to everything we've had in the Nightmare Quest box so far. And then we've got an image here which shows you basic stuff from the Nightmare Quest box, and it does show that pyramid, but it also shows some of the Flesh Eater courts that we haven't got a decent image of. So there's one there. They don't look particularly thrilling, I have to say, but certainly anything new for me, from my perspective, is a good thing. Okay, and there's an image of there's the statue that comes in this set, the Crypt of Blood, as well as the other terrain that comes in it. You can see some stuff in the background. Pretty sure that's not going to feature in this box. I think that is just from Corpse Rack Mausoleum stuff. But it certainly looks very good, and there's that sarcophagus as well. But yeah, exciting, I have to say. More images of the box set itself. And again, you can see it's clearly a paper board, not proper card. This is introduction into the setting and that kind of thing. And then it goes on to these next two pages, I believe, are missions in the game. It's got our battle plan there, how to set up. And it's got all our other information there. This is also sort of kind of teaching us how to play the game. So there's two there. Other general rules, so to do with movement and that kind of thing. And then more images of the other basic things that we have. There's that paper board. That's the other side of it. Part of our building guide for the two warbands, and then obviously for the terrain itself. So this is just, there's not very much on here. So that's up to point 8 of the assembly guide, and it moves straight on to point 9. So it tells us the only things to assemble really are the statue and the sarcophagus, and this is the rest of the stuff that comes in it. So very light on terrain, or basically very light on all content for this game. And that's it. That's everything we know so far. It's interesting to see new stuff like that. This new box itself, what do I think it's for? Well, it's going to offer a progression of bringing the Underworld stuff back into Warcry. So anyone from the last edition will see that from the very last Tome of Champions from there, it had all of the warbands from Underworlds on there and all their points value and that kind of thing. And this obviously is a new way to bring them into Warcry current edition, because that information doesn't exist as of yet. But it's all pretty exciting, I have to say. I will definitely be covering this in more depth when it comes out. I'll probably be getting the box because I no longer have those warbands, and I'm a big lover of Warcry as well. So tell me what you think in the comments. Just let me know what you think this is, and I think I'm pretty much tacked on for exactly what's coming and that sort of thing. But let me know if you're excited for it, and let me know what you think of Underworlds in Warcry in general. So thank you very much for watching. Much appreciated. Have a great day, and I'll see you later.